signal now for when I'm needed. But when that light hits the sky, it's not just a call. It's a warning to them.
Yes, sir. Welcome to Beyond the Bat Signal. I'm your host, Dominic Yanika. Join me as we dive into the depths of Batman's lore, dissecting the Rogues Gallery, and uncovering the stories of our iconic vigilante known as the Dark Knight. Beyond the Bat Signal is a proud member of the Batman Podcast Network, hosted by Batman on Film. Visit their website to see a list of shows that you can totally check out, tune in, and listen to. Highly recommend. And where you can find that, batman-on-film.com. Look at the podcast drop down and you'll see all those shows. Thank you very much for tuning into today's episode. And finally, I get to crack open Batman issue 162. And it is still in the Hush storyline. Yes, it's still going. And I have a lot to say, a lot of good. I'm kind of giggling to myself because I'm like, one, how delayed has it been? And it's unfortunate because I love this storyline personally, and I'm looking forward to it. But the delays they're like curveballs to me. They just throw me off. And on top of that, then it's like, okay, where do you find time with a newborn family? And then it's like, okay, now I got to... One, reading it is not an issue. It takes like 20 minutes. But to actually sit down, cover it, and even think about, like, hey, what am I going to say? How do I feel? And yes, Pete Vera, if you're listening, I do jot down notes. So, there's a lot to say, a lot of feelings to share. Let's start with the basics. This is written by Jeph Loeb. Illustrations by the legendary Jim Lee. And I got cover A, where it is Batman Wanted, Dead or Alive. Cover is drawn by Jim Lee himself. And man, this guy just does not disappoint. Now, speaking of disappointment, though, I just found out that I think issue 163 was supposed to be released in January, and I'm like, giddy up, let's go. Like, you know, I can give it a little bit of a break when it comes to reviewing comics for, you know, a month. Yeah, how about it's going to be delayed till March? What? Like, March? Maybe February, but March? Like, why? How is this much of a delay? What is it, Echoes? Is Echoes even done? I think it is. I saw it on Hoopla. But talk about delays. That's insane to me. And I'm also disappointed. Like, I'm looking forward to seeing what the next issue has to offer. And, like, now I kind of got to go back, and for sure I'm going to try to have to... Well, I would love to read the previous issues before the next one does in, 3 months? So, yeah. Anyway. Let's get into this issue where we have Jeph Loeb picking up where he left off, and Batman's about to face off with the Bat family and the Riddler. Still so random. Have no idea how that's all going to fit in. And again, Jeph Loeb is just kind of like what the storyline part of it is about, where, like, you know, it's a game of chess, and you could tell that this is a slow burn. And, you know, I've read some reactions online about, like, how they feel about the Hush 2 storyline. They're not liking it. Me personally, I do enjoy it. Kind of curious as to how you feel. But with this Hush 2 storyline, it is a slow burn, but I think once collected, this is gonna flow very well. Like this issue was, I could have read this in 10 minutes. I just tried to take in as much of the illustrations as possible because Jim Lee is a freaking, like, the guy's a legend. And what he does, and I'll try to go through and find some Easter eggs and mention them. I noticed a couple like Robinson Avenue, always the streets, eh? Always the streets. Batman, let's start off with this anyway. Yeah, Batman. He's about to face off with Catwoman. They had like a heated exchange, and the whole crew just kind of shows up, the family, and they're all both like, okay, listen, I got this. Well, Batgirl's like, I got this. Stand down. And then Batman right away is like, through his internal dialogue, is like Batgirl. They are, and he's referring to the Bat family, are driven by emotion of the situation, forcing me to take control. And Batman's just like very calculated and takes her out instantaneously. She passes out, and obviously this is going to trigger a couple of feelings. And you know, Jim Lee does beautiful illustrations of when Barbara Gordon was taken out by Joker in The Killing Joke. And man, like, you know, you look at that image where once she was shot, and you can tell it's a flashback, and it's just, you know, unsettling, to say the least. And then you have the other one of Robin, where, you know, and Jim Lee does a beautiful interpretation for both, alluding to Tim Sale and Brian Bolland. Nice little tribute. But anyway, so Batman goes and takes off because he's trying to look for none other than Hush. And he gets into this church, and then you see Catwoman kind of just like crash right into him, and she just wants a chit chat. And, you know, I kind of like this emotional exchange, calm but emotional, where, you know, Batman took off his mask, and they remind each other that they took off each other's mask, and Batman trusts her. And, you know, it says the bat and the cat. I mean, Batman even says, like, I thought for a moment we would open up to each other. And anyway, so Catwoman just kind of makes Batman see, and I think it kind of hits home. Like, you know, actually, before I jump ahead, you know, it was kind of funny where I love how Catwoman just goes, because we know how both this is going to turn out. And Batman's like, how's that? And Catwoman just says, I'd kick your ass. And then there's like a slight smirk in Batman's face. And I do like that subtle bit of facial hair that Batman's got going. Gives me Arkham Origins vibes. And speaking of Origins, are you playing it? It's Christmas time. I'm in the mood to go play it, and I hope I can crack it open where we can just start, you know, I have it on Steam, so hopefully I can start playing. It always gets, it's, you know, it's like watching Christmas movies. Playing that game also gets me in the Christmas spirit. Anyway, back to the story. Batman's just asking Catwoman, like, what is it that you want? And she's like, just to talk. Plain and simple. And she reminds Batman, it's like, you know, what were you thinking out there? Like, Barbara's as close to you as, like, she just like a daughter to you. And then, you know, and she's like, I get it. Hush is pushing your buttons. Saving Joker's life. Horrific. But those people who are fighting with you are as close to family as anything you'll ever have. And Batman's like, I didn't ask for any of that. And Catwoman just says, like, you know, I remember telling you once that for a man who doesn't have any strings in his life, or doesn't want any strings in his life, you sure have a lot of strings in your life. And sometimes, whether you like it or not, those strings are hard to pull. And then she goes, I think about why we could never make it work. I'm okay with believing that there's a wall you won't let come down. A wall that you built to protect your 10-year-old boy's self who saw his parents shot to death. And Batman's like, I think about how much you know about me and how often I feel like I don't know you at all. And Catwoman's like, you know me, Bruce, probably better than anyone. All I ever really want is what's best for you. And Batman's like, right. And what's best for me is, and Catwoman's like, not now, as there's like this, well, Robin's coming through with his little grapple gun and ties Batman right up and drags him out of the church. You know, by the way, Jim Lee, when they're in, both Catwoman and Batman are in the church, man, nice touch. Like, how long does that take him to draw these panels? Anyone ever look at some of these panels and think, how long does it take him to draw that? Like, that would probably take me a good day. Okay. Him, how long? I have no idea. Anyway, so we have this nice 2-page spread of Damian on his bat cycle, dragging Batman along the streets, and obviously weakening him. And, you know, I'm trying to pay attention to certain street signs and signs around, because, you know, you got to pay attention to this when it comes to Jim Lee. And then you got, you know, Riddler stepping in, and it's like, what the heck does he want? And Batman has like a back and forth, like, little tussle between the two. And, you know, Riddler always wants to be one step ahead of Batman and, you know, be more superior. And, you know, Riddler's obviously studied how he's fighting, but Batman eventually outsmarts him, shocks him. And then Batman's like, tell me, why are you with them? And Riddler just says, they need all the help they can get. As do you, Bruce. You have friends in low places. Batman's just like, what? With a question mark. Then you have Hush just lining up Batgirl and Nightwing, and, you know, they're wide open, and all of a sudden it's like incoming. You see those X-Acto knives darting right for both of them, and Huntress comes in and is like, take your best shot, Grayson, and boom, throws that bow towards, and then Batman catches on. And I love this, where Batman in his internal dialogue says, Dick will always be the best of them. And they nail Hush, like, you know, takes the gun right out and obviously distracts him. And speaking of distractions, who steps in? Well, you got Jason Todd coming in and allows Hush to get away. There's the Batmobile that he stole, and, you know, right away, like, they're like, the Bat family's like, is that Jason? And Batman's like, the car. I've been waiting for Hush to bring him back into the game. And here's where you're like, oh, okay. There's a couple of Easter eggs. I think Saffron. I'm not sure if it's like for Peter Safran. I see all that Easter egg. And then Robinson Square. Jerry Robinson, guy who created Joker. So, and I know that there is another one, but let's see if we can find it. Anyway, Batman's like, let him go. And Huntress goes after Jason Todd, and he's climbing all the way up, and she's like, I gotcha. And you can see like how athletic she really is. And they have like a nice little back and forth with a little bit of action. And she falls for a pretty lame trick, I thought, which I don't know, but whatever. Hey, this is comic books. So Jason Todd's like, listen, pull me up, and I'll tell you the truth about what is really going on. Because as fans, we have no idea. We're the readers, and we're not one step ahead. And Huntress is like, fine, tell me this truth. And it's a trick. Jason Todd pulls her right over the railing, and she drops to the ground, but like a cat, where she like just drops to the ground on all fours, and just is like, okay, damn, I can't believe I fell for that. Then there's Batman and Robin. Batman gets into the Batmobile and activates, and just, I don't know, it just almost looks like there's this big explosion underneath the Batmobile, and Batman just drops. You know what it reminded me of was, like, you know, in Dark Knight Rises, when there's that explosion and the armory just kind of like there's that explosion, the cave kind of just like goes into the underground. it kind of reminds me of that. Anyway, the Batmobile goes through the ground into the underground, and then you see, speaking of Bane, Bane's face, and not just Bane, but there's a few more villains waiting, and none other than the Clown Prince of Crime, the Joker's like, well, looking at who fell into this well, and Joker's got a gun right to Batman's face, and Batman's obviously looking a little weak here, and that's the end of the issue. To be continued. They had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different covers. Wow. And obviously I got cover A. There's a few other covers that looked pretty cool. One was by Chris Bachalo. I think I said the name right. The other one, Derek Chu. Pretty cool. But yeah, I stuck to Jim Lee. Now, overall thoughts. Let's give it a grade out of 10. I give this probably an 8. But I want to share my thoughts. And I feel like there's a lot of people that are frustrated with this series. And I'm kind of curious as to why. Thus far, it's been moving fairly well. And it is like a chess game where, Hush is turning the Bat family slowly against them. But then he's not. But he's got Jason Todd that's like under his belt, and we're like, as fans, why? What is it that Hush is trying to do and trying to trigger in Batman? And with Batman, he's kind of has to work on his own yet again, and he doesn't want the Bat family around him. So that was one thing. Batman saved Joker's life, which we're always like, why the hell are you doing this? And then now Joker's got a gun directly to Batman's face. So is Joker working with Hush? Like, this all just kind of seems like a plan where it's like, it's all going to unravel at the end. We're going to go, with the hate towards this, I guess, the series, I think part of it must be that, they're frustrated because, there's delays, right? And as fans, of course, we can be frustrated with that, right? But as fans, we also love the series so much that we're like, we want it yesterday. And it's no different. Like, people were upset when the Batman 2 was delayed, and, rightfully so. We were all a little frustrated because we're like, well, listen, we're going to be waiting 5 years before this damn movie comes out. But, we have to enjoy the ride. And I honestly believe that once Batman Hush 2 comes out collected, and I mean collected, not in like, they have like the first 6 issues come out, and then there's that second 6 issues, tongue twister. I think that, listen, once it comes out collected, I truly believe it's going to be like a awesome, easy to watch, replayability, kind of like, one of the Batman animated series. You can just put it on and just like enjoy it. It's comfort food. And just like their first Hush, it's like a cool Batman animated series cartoon. This is going to be the same thing. I really believe it. Jim Lee, this guy is bringing his A game nonstop. At first I was a little unsure with the first couple of pages, but those panels where he kind of pays tribute to Brian Boland and then Tim Sale, gotta love it. Batman going through the stained glass windows with Catwoman's got to be one of my favorite, just because the level of difficulty that looks like is astounding to me, because I'm like, who does it? But even Batman just talking to Catwoman looks pretty cool. And then you gotta love where Robin is in the Robin cycle and he's just dragging Batman. There's a lot of panels that we can all enjoy. Kind of curious to hear what you thought. Because, Jim Lee, and I'm curious because he's been known for delays. And is this, if we're looking at why is there a delay? Is it because of Jim Lee? The guy's kind of a busy man, important guy. But but yeah, like, overall, I've really enjoyed this series. I've enjoyed this book. I love how it's been drawn and illustrated. I love how it's written because it keeps us thinking. And it's like, where's this going? And to be honest, not like, Batman, The Long Halloween, where we're kind of guessing where this might go. Here, I'm like, I have no idea. I have no clue. And it makes me wonder, like, what is that breadcrumb that he dropped? And I'm trying to think. I almost feel like it'd be a benefit to me just go back and see and what Jeph Loeb's trying to think. And then the other thing that's just throwing me for a loop is there's going to be first 6 issues, and then there's another 6 issues after that. And I'm like, what's the point of the gap? Right? Obviously, there's a lot to unveil, whatever. And, I'm waiting for it. I can't wait. There's going to be 2 more issues after this. And kind of funny that this is Batman 162 is going on while like the reboot is kind of just started with Batman. I think they're on Batman number 3 with Jorge Jimenez. And the guy's like, what a superstar he is, eh? But anyway. Yeah, I think that's going to be pretty much it for this review. But before I forget, right near the end of the issues, there's where the Batmobile is exploding. And forgot to mention the other Easter egg, obviously a street. Neil Adams gets a nice little shout out, which I love. And then I feel like there was one more. Oh, I had a question for the listeners. I keep seeing 811 pop up in that issue. What is that? Anyone have any idea? 811? Kind of curious. Maybe it's nothing, but I don't know. Some of these guys, they put it in for a reason. I'm sure good old AI can find out. But yeah, that's about it. Now, where can you guys find me? X/Twitter at Beyond Bat Signal. You can follow along. Or shoot me an email at beyondthebatsignal@gmail.com. And yeah, listen, this has been a doozy. I'm promising that there's actually going to be more episodes coming out. I know it's been a little slow lately, but I have a fun one coming up, hopefully within the next week or 2. And then we get into Christmas, which, Jesus. Actually, sweet baby Jesus. Where has the time gone? How are we at Christmas time already? That's nuts. But I'd love, I hoping to do one thing. Last year we did Christmas with the Joker, and we're going to try to do something a little different. But yeah, looking forward to it. Kind of curious if you guys have any Batman Christmas traditions. Like right now, if you follow along on X/Twitter, I've been trying to post Batman wallpapers that are Christmas themed, because I love Christmas and the holidays. I think that it just blends well. And yeah, like I'll share. Like one of them is watching Batman Returns. The other is and Ryan Lauer actually just commented on it. But I just bought that Batman Returns children's book, and you can follow along with the Batman Book Club, because he actually interviews the author who wrote it. So good. Such a good book. I've already read it to my daughter once and I'm going to read it again. Of course I am. Come on. Anyway, thank you very much for listening to today's episode. And yeah, that's Beyond the Bat Signal. We're signing off.